The date is February 1948. The location? The treacherous waters of the Strait of Malacca. Does that name ring a bell? It should. This is the exact same stretch of ocean where the infamous flight MH370 vanished from radar in 2014. It seems this narrow strip of sea, separating Malaysia and Indonesia, has a hunger for the mysterious. On this particular day, however, the ocean was deceivingly calm. The sky was clear, the waves were gentle, and the trade winds were silent. It was a perfect day for sailing. Dozens of American and British vessels were navigating this busy shipping lane, unaware that the silence was about to be broken by a scream from the void. Suddenly, the radios of multiple ships in the vicinity crackled to life. It wasn't a voice, it was a signal. Welcome back to Control Narrative. Today, we dive into a mystery that has baffled the maritime world for over 70 years. The signal received wasn't a spoken plea, it was Morse code. Now, for the modern generation, Morse code might seem like an ancient relic. But back then, and even now, it was considered far more reliable than the human voice. You see, voice transmissions are fragile. They can be distorted by distance, swallowed by fog, or shattered by humidity. But Morse code? It is a piercing series of sharp dots and dashes. It cuts through the atmospheric interference like a knife. It can travel thousands of kilometers when a voice would simply fade into static. And on that day, the dots and dashes spelled out a nightmare. It began with the universal cry for help. ... SOS. SOS. Operators scrambled to decode the stream of data. The message identified the ship as the Dutch freighter, the SS Ourang Medan. The translation that followed froze the blood of everyone listening. It read, SOS. SOS. All officers, including the captain, are dead, lying in chart room and bridge, possibly whole crew dead. Then, a chaotic series of dots and dashes followed unintelligible panic, and then, the transmission cleared up for two final words. I die. Then, absolute silence. Radio operators from nearby ships frantically tapped back, demanding coordinates, demanding a status report. But the void stared back. It became terrifyingly clear to everyone listening. Something catastrophic had happened on the SS Ourang Medan. The nearest vessel was an American merchant ship, the Silver Star. The captain, realizing the gravity of the situation, immediately diverted his course. Based on the triangulation of the signal, they raced toward the last known position of the Dutch freighter. The crew prepared for the worst, expecting to find a ship sinking, capsized, or perhaps under attack by pirates. But after hours of steaming at full speed, looking through their binoculars, they saw nothing of the sort. There she was, the SS Ourang Medan. She wasn't sinking. There was no hull damage. No water was breaching her decks. She was simply floating, bobbing gently on the waves. But something was wrong. Despite being a steamship, there was no smoke rising from her funnel. There was no movement on the deck. It was a ghost ship in broad daylight. The captain of the Silver Star blared the horns and hailed the ship over loudspeakers. Ahoy! Is anyone there? Only the sound of the ocean replied. Realizing there would be no answer, the captain assembled a boarding party. They lowered a lifeboat and headed toward the silent giant to uncover the truth. As the rescue team climbed aboard the Ourang Medan, they immediately noticed a change in the atmosphere. Despite the tropical heat of the Malacca Strait, the deck felt unnaturally cold. A shivering silence hung over the steel. And then, they saw the first body. This was not a peaceful death. The man's face was twisted into a grotesque mask of sheer terror. His mouth was gaping open, his eyes bulging from their sockets, staring at something invisible in the sky. His body was stiff, his arms outstretched in front of him as if he were trying to push away a demon with his last breath. The team moved forward, hearts pounding. It wasn't just one man. The decks were littered with corpses. The captain was found dead on the bridge. The officers were scattered in the chart room and the wheelhouse. Every single one of them shared that same horrifying expression, eyes wide, mouths screaming in silence, teeth bared. Even the ship's dog couldn't escape this fate. The animal was found frozen mid-snarl, looking at an unseen enemy, petrified in the moment of its death. In fact of his they are, and he was not to 100 predicted from the 7. When they finally reached the radio room, they found the operator, the man who had sent that final message. He was slumped over the desk, his cold fingers still resting on the telegraph key that had tapped out "I die." But here is the most baffling detail. The detail that turns this tragedy into a true mystery. There was not a single drop of blood. No gunshot wounds. No stab marks. No blunt force trauma. No signs of a struggle. The ship was in perfect condition, but the souls aboard had been extinguished instantly, leaving behind only the frozen husks of their fear. The captain of the Silver Star knew this was beyond his pay grade. He decided to tow the ghost ship to the nearest port for a full investigation. The crew began attaching tow lines to the Ourang Medan, but the ocean, it seems, did not want this mystery solved. Just as the ropes were being secured, smoke began to pour out of cargo hold number 4. At first, it was a wisp, but within seconds, it turned into a raging inferno. The fire spread with unnatural speed. The boarding party had no choice. They scrambled back to their lifeboats, cutting the lines and rowing for their lives back to the Silver Star. They barely made it to safety when a massive explosion ripped through the Ourang Medan. The blast was so powerful it lifted the massive steel hull out of the water. Debris rained down over the sea. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, the SS Ourang Medan, along with its dead crew and its dark secrets, slipped beneath the waves, gone forever. Because the evidence sank to the bottom of the ocean, the world was left with only the testimony of the Silver Star crew. Skeptics immediately called it a tall tale. They pointed out that the Lloyd's Register of Shipping, the official record of all merchant ships, had no listing for a ship named SS Ourang Medan. But here at Control Narrative, we dig deeper. You have to remember the context. This was 1948. World War II had just ended. The seas were chaotic. Many ships were operating under fake names, unregistered, transporting leftover war materials, or engaging in black market smuggling. In 1954, a Dutch newspaper published articles claiming to have interviewed a survivor who fled the ship before the disaster. He claimed the ship was smuggling illegal sulfuric acid and other deadly cargo. But the most compelling evidence surfaced decades later. In May 2003, the CIA declassified a secret document dated back to 1959. The letter explicitly mentions the SS Ourang Medan tragedy. The author of the letter suggested that solving this mystery could explain many other disappearances at sea. Why was the CIA interested, and why did they keep it classified for 45 years? The most logical, yet terrifying theory involves what was hiding in the cargo hold. Japan and Germany had produced massive stockpiles of chemical weapons during the war. It is highly probable that the Ourang Medan was a smuggler ship, hired to secretly transport hazardous materials like potassium cyanide or nitroglycerin. Think about the science. If seawater entered the hold and reacted with potassium cyanide, it would create a lethal cloud of cyanide gas. This gas is invisible and odorless. It kills by asphyxiation, literally choking the cells of the body. This explains everything. It explains why the crew died instantly, without external wounds. It explains the frozen faces gasping for air in their final moments. And the fire? Nitroglycerin is highly unstable. A small bump or a rise in temperature could cause it to self-ignite, leading to the massive explosion that destroyed the evidence. There is an even darker angle. Some researchers believe the ship was carrying biological experiments from Unit 731, the horrific Japanese division that conducted experiments on humans. When Japan fell, the US famously granted immunity to these scientists in exchange for their data. Was the Ourang Medan moving these materials secretly? Did a containment breach unleash a biological horror that killed the crew? Since it was an illegal Black Ops mission, the ship was never registered. And when it sank, the governments involved breathed a sigh of relief. Or perhaps it was something else entirely. The crew of the Silver Star spoke of an oppressive atmosphere and a dog frozen in aggression against an unseen foe. For those who believe in the supernatural, the Ourang Medan remains the ultimate ghost story. Today, the SS Ourang Medan lies somewhere in the crushing darkness of the ocean floor. We may never know for sure if it was a chemical accident, a government conspiracy, or something beyond our understanding. It serves as a grim reminder that no matter how advanced our technology becomes, the ocean is a vast, untamed beast that keeps its secrets well. What do you think really happened? Was it a chemical leak or something more sinister? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history's mysteries, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Control Narrative. We have many more stories to tell, and you won't want to miss what we uncover next. Until then, stay curious.